Hello, everyone. My name is Jacob, and I'm joined by Matt and Mike, and we're about everything. Say hi, guys.
What's up?
Hey, everybody.
And today, it's episode 15. Episode 15.
Oh, hell no. Fuck.
Hello, Matt.
No. Mike, we fucked up. We gave him episode 15. We fucked up.
Yes, I am hosting episode 15.
Someone get
Episode 15.
Mike, you got that cane with the fucking hook on the end. Pull this bitch off stage, please. Oh, it's a
I
shepherd's crook.
incinerated all the canes. So now we have episode 15. I am always joined by Mike and Matt. And we're about to get into the episode. But first,
A word
how
from our
are you all
sponsor.
doing on this day? Raid Shadow Legends. And if you don't like Raid Shadow Legends, how about Blue Apron?
How about Raycon
How about-
earbuds?
What about
Yeah.
Blue Chew? You need to get a hard on to have
Oh,
better
yes.
sex. Get Blue Chew now.
I don't know what the fuck you guys
Do you want
watch.
to? Do you
but
want
I
to
never got
Skype
that
Burger
ad.
King foot lettuce? Hey, do you guys want to watch Netflix but in Canada?
Oh.
ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN.
Okay, a fun fact about Canada, apparently they don't get Hulu anymore. Like at all.
What?
That fucking sucks. That fucking sucks.
Fucking sucks.
That fucking sucks. I feel sorry for the Canadians. I like to say, rest in peace to the Queen Elizabeth. All right, now back to Burger King foot lettuce times 100. Today's video, I'm going to react to Ridley versus Vilgax.
Oh, God.
Episode 7. Oh,
It took 2 fucking years to make.
it took 2 fucking years for Mike G to edit
What a
this
s-
video.
What a fucking slowpoke. Am I right, guys?
What a fucking tit rack. All right.
How long can Jacob keep this up?
There's a theory out there.
Nature.
And that,
Science.
there's a theory, and that chickens have nipples. However, they are cut off simply because if they're frozen, they just might poke a hole in the plastic package.
I love chicken nips. It's my favorite snack. Chicken nips.
It's like fucking Jeff Dunham. If they're little, they're tittles. If they're big, they're tatonsters.
Everybody likes chicken fingers, but no one likes to finger chickens.
I think this is the weirdest intro we've ever done.
I have to agree.
No shit, Sherlock. No shit, Sherlock.
Oh, shit.
How are you doing today,
Oh.
Mr. G?
I am doing really good. This morning, I actually got to talk to some old acquaintances that I hadn't talked to in like 8 years. And I got to talk to Axel and Haza from back in the old day. Hey, guys. And so that was really, really nice. But in sad news, which I'm being very positive about this, that job that I loved so much, or do still love so much, I'm currently laid off. And so Friday was very sad. I shook a lot of hands just in case if something happened. You know, don't want to regret not saying goodbye if I do happen to be gone. And let's just hope that I get back to work in no time. So because I would really hate to lose that job because I fucking love that job.
Speaking of work, yeah,
Here we
Matt's
go.
not happy.
Matt has hot parts. I
Alright.
have a hot part.
All right, you asinine buffoon. Since Jacob brought up before I did, I mentioned last week that I ran these really, really hot parts. They are literally
Ha ha.
they are hotter parts now as of as of Friday, recording this Sunday, so a couple days ago, no longer exist because they were burned to the ground.
I was about to say they are literally hot. As
Yeah,
in, if you physically touch them, they will burn your fucking hands into blisters.
So I
Even worse than my ex-wife burning me.
So
She took the fucking kids.
I hope this doesn't go on the whole episode.
Me too. I will fucking stop.
Okay, I'll stop. I'm kidding.
It's good, but fuck, dude. So there is a very, very, very high chance that this could be the last episode for a bit, as I'll have to potentially work 7 days a week.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is what it is, guys. I'm getting laid off. The podcast is getting laid off for a bit. But we're not gonna leave. We're not gonna stop. We're just gonna be gone for a while, but we will return, and better than ever. And I shall return as a new man.
Super Mike.
Yeah, and school for me has
Super
been very
Mike.
hectic.
Mm-hmm.
It's last few months.
School
It gets
for me has
bad.
been really hectic, kind of overload, and that's why I haven't been posted on my channel either.
I mean,
but
I'm
stay
lucky
tuned
enough
for
to
more
record
episodes
ahead.
of the podcast.
Yeah, hopefully Mike will get his shit together and not talk like chills for 20 minutes.
Mike?
Yeah,
That
you.
wasn't
Yeah,
me.
hopefully,
That was Jacob.
hopefully Matt will get that stick off his ass.
That's not going anywhere. Just so you know.
Well, yeah, it's too comfortable.
Right, dude? It is.
I think it's time for a surgery. Bend over,
God.
please.
See, I
All
told
right,
you it
let's
wasn't me.
I know it wasn't you, Mike. That's a joke.
Oh, okay.
So,
All right, let's move on.
no.
Today's topic is kind of a, depending on how you think of it, it's a kind of a dark topic. Today we're talking about life and death.
Wife and death, those kind of go hand to hand, you're right.
Mm-hmm. Wife and Deb. Well, there is death to us part, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
All right. So, Mike, you've been excited to talk about this this idea.
Yeah, because and I'm sorry to bring this up again, but I'm currently working on a franchise and a story that involves the topic of life and death. And I always think that life and death is a very intriguing concept, and it's a very deep and personal one for a lot of people. I think in terms of life, like, you know, people want to live their life to the fullest, right? And people don't want to have regrets. People want to do things and that they want to do, and they don't want to look back and say, "Oh man, I wish I could have done that years ago," and then didn't do it. And then, you know, there's the whole idea that someday in our lives we are going to die. We are going to fall over and die, or by some other means. And let's hope it's not by some other means, which is a bad way of dying. In which, you know, there's a bad way to die, and then there is a good way to die. And so life and death is very complex, complicated, deep, and this is going to be really interesting. Yeah. Matt, what do you think of all this?
oh, I'm sorry, I zoned out. I spent the last 2 hours outside doing car work like a dumbass, so.
Man, you know, you put your life on the line when you do that. You could have died.
Yep.
You know, I could have died. My hands were frozen. It was cold. Could get hypothermia.
You're gonna be like freaking Jack from The Shining.
Do you want to know what I do whenever I'm hungry at work? And my friend Todd will walk by and I'll say, "You know, Todd, I'm starting to get to be skin and bones now." And he'll say, "Yeah," and I'll say, "Yeah, I'm getting to be so fragile, so weak, so nimble. It's getting dark now. I'm so hungry." And then I'll say, "Yeah, 250 pounds of you is starving to death." And I'll say, "Hey, most of this weight is skin and foreskin." But
Mike, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but all along I've been a skeleton inside a flesh suit.
You know what? I think I have a very big skeleton. I think it's very big.
Okay, Cartman. Okay.
Are you sure about that?
Oh, I am. Man, you know what's weird is I can feel my ribs like real easily. Yeah, that's the weird part. It makes me think, God damn, my rib cage is fucking humongous. I could fucking put a vulture
I
in
can feel
there.
my skull.
Or an owl. Fuck.
But Jacob, can you feel
I
both
can
your heads
feel
at
my
once?
skull. Yes.
But in all serious, Matt, oh shit, I can't talk. What are your thoughts on life and death overall, just as a whole?
Yeah. I did.
I know it's hard to talk about, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, fuck.
Jacob, I got an idea for you. I want you to ask us a question involving
All right.
life or death.
All right. What do you think the meaning of life is?
Matt?
Why me first?
That is the biggest question.
No.
Like the whole meaning of life is like once you're born, you are already beginning to die, right? You're against the clock at all times, ongoing in the future. And it's up to you to sustain your life, take care of yourself, and live the life that you want to. And there's a lot of people who say, if you want to live a good life, you got to live a long life. But then there are other people who say it doesn't matter how long you live. It's basically it's how you live it. And was it worth living?
I think Gabriel Iglesias put it best. You could live to be 100 years old.
Yep.
But do you want to live to be 100 years old without eating tacos?
Yes, I was thinking that exactly. I was thinking of Gabriel. Yeah, and look, like I understand, taking care of yourself and making sure that you're still around for your family and things, but we're so young right now, and that death is really scary to us as a whole. But I've talked to a lot of old people who are totally okay with it. Like they're okay with the idea of dying. And they're ready for death to come to their door at any moment. And because they have lived a full life, right? A life of being young and then of course experiencing having children and living in their 40s and 50s and then getting old. And when you get old, it's not fun, right? Like it's a pain in the ass being really fucking old. So I think Gabriel put it best. It's not how long you live, really. Is it worth living? And like, did you love your life? Yeah, live your life the way that you want to. Yeah, but I think the whole meaning of life, people like turn to the Bible and all this stuff. And look, I'm going to be brutally honest, and this could be really controversial. I'm not a religious type. I don't read the Bible, and I don't pray, and I don't do all that stuff because I feel like a Bible is designed for people who first off need a set of rules and also a moral system to live by, which is fine. But also it's a way to look forward to when you die, right? Because it gives you the sense that it doesn't end after death. It doesn't leave people questioning it. It kind of gives them this feeling of, all right, I'm going to move on now, and I'll see you around. And that's a beautiful thing. For me, I feel like while I'm not perfect, I feel like I don't need that. And that's not to say that, I'm too good for the Bible or anything. It's not to say that at all. It's just kind of like I have enough common sense that I'm like, I know what's right and wrong. I feel like I'm a good person. I feel like I have a good moral code of sorts, and a lot of people think I'm a pretty cool dude. And for me, like, I know what I want to do with my life. I don't know what's ahead, but that's kind of the cool thing about it is you don't know what's going to be ahead in your life, right? And like, dude, I would have never imagined when I was younger that I would be in this position right now, doing a podcast, doing YouTube and changing my whole social life, and like I would have never imagined doing stuff like that. I thought I'd just be some worthless fucking guy who just draws, all alone at home and, and just a total nobody. Like that's what I thought I was.
Now he's a guy that draws at home all alone with friends.
And is a somebody. But like the other thing too is man, this is so complex. I see a lot of people just kind of like live in this way where it's like I can't live alone because I'm not whole with myself. And I'm going to tell you something. If you're this kind of person, and this is not to be an asshole, because I used to be in this position. I used to be that guy where I'm like, I don't feel whole, and nobody wants me, and and I don't love myself. I don't like myself. That is not because the other person is like filling in your other half. It's because you don't know who the fuck you are alone. And look, and I'm only bringing this up because this is a life thing. This is about life. And I feel like to live your fullest in life, you got to be full, whether you are with someone or alone. Okay? And I have found that I have filled in this gap. And I love myself, but not in a selfish way. It's like a self-love where I care for myself like I would my own kid, right? It's that kind of love where it's like, I really don't need anybody, but if someone enters my life, they're not a part of my life or a part of me. They're in addition, and I think that's a healthy and really good way to live, because it allows you to be happier. It allows you to be independent. It allows you to be a more confident and more fulfilled person overall. Right. And it will just make your life better. And then when you get to that point where you're going to die, you're going to be like, you know what? I lived a fucking good life, man. I lived to the fullest. I lived good every day. Not to say that there's no downs, because that's a part of life, right? There's a lot of downs and then there's ups. But overall, it was pretty good. And I feel like I'm going to get there someday when I'm old, and I'm going to be like, you know what? I wasn't famous or nothing, but I didn't need to be. I was happy with what little I have, and I love the life that I had, and someday we're all going to be there, and that's how I feel. Matt, what do you have? I'm trying to talk. It's hard. It's such a deep thing, man. Like it's complex, man.
And I'm a very shallow individual.
Matt, or not Matt, whoever the fuck you are, Jacob. What question do you have for Matt? Because maybe this will help turn some gears.
Don't you want to know my answer?
Yes. I'm sorry.
You might find it surprising, but I've actually went soul searching, I learned different ways on how people live their lives, and how people did have a life, got taken away from them. And what I think is the meaning of life is what you do on the planet, because some people, you think, oh, they're gonna live a full life, but they get taken away. And they do leave an impact on the world. And that's a good meaning of life. No matter how short or how long your life is. I think the true meaning of it is how you leave the world with your impact.
Let's look at one example. Let's look at John F. Kennedy. Wasn't president for very long. He died young, and yet he is still talked about to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Kobe Bryant. One of the best basketball players of all time. Died in a tragic helicopter accident. Till this day, there's many players that are inspired by him.
I mean,
and people still tributing him.
Literally, same thing with Riley legend Colin McRae. Same thing. Master at his craft. Literally gave the phrase, when in doubt, flat out.
Mm-hmm.
Died the exact same way Kobe Bryant did.
I will tell you one person in this world that not long ago really inspired me to attempt to do something, because I don't know, something happened to me when this person died, and I can't explain it. Stan Lee. First character I was ever introduced to was the Incredible Hulk. And ever since in my life, my whole life is about nostalgia and fiction. That's what I live for, and that's what I love. And look, it's not something that, provides to the economy or anything, but you know what? What Stan Lee did was he made lives better mentally and emotionally and spiritually, because man, there are people everywhere that just live for comics and fiction. It's a beautiful thing. And there was this quote that I found after he died that just lit the spark inside of me. Let me try to find it real quick. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but every time I see it, it's just man, it really it's really impactful. Let me see if I can. All right, here it is. I used to be embarrassed because I was just a comic book writer while other people were building bridges or going on to medical careers. And then I began to realize entertainment is one of the most important things in people's lives. Without it, they might go off the deep end. I feel that if you are able to entertain people, then you're doing the right thing. Excelsior. And that there, lit this weird fire inside of me. And it kind of motivated me more in my life in a positive way to this whole Armis thing. I talk about on YouTube, I don't care about the popularity, but I also feel this need to leave something behind, because I feel that true good immortality is what you leave behind for years and years and years and years after you die. And those characters that Stan Lee contributed to in the whole franchise, that's going to be around for fucking until the Earth is gone, basically. That's going to be there fucking forever until Earth is gone. And it's just such a beautiful thing to basically do this one thing, one person alone, basically. And you're not only able to impact people's lives when you're alive, but you're able to impact people after you're dead. That's fucking incredible. And and the whole Armis thing that I'm doing, I'm just kind of hoping that, if it's not big, then it is what it is. But if it does make some kind of impact, I really hope the message gets to people, gets them thinking, and maybe they can think, this story kind of makes me feel a little better about, looking forward to death when it does come. And the kind of death where it's on your deathbed, and when you're old and when it's time, not because someone murdering you or, something really bad. Even cancer, that alone is a very sensitive topic. But there are times where people get cancer, for instance, and you have their partners that are doing everything they can to fight it off for them and trying to take care of them. But there are people that are just putting me through this chemo treatment or chemo treatment, my bad, is not only making it worse for me, but it's extending this life that is just torture. And I feel I would be better off just like, moving on. And that's when a person just kind of accepts that I want to go. And it's okay. It happens. That's a part of life. You never know what's going to happen, whether it's good or bad. Yeah. Man, life and death is, again, like, I'm a broken record, but life and death is like this weird cycle of like good and bad, and I think Superman's dad said it best. People are like crops. You grow crops and you hope that a lot of them are good. And then some of them die and some of them turn out really bad. And that's just life, son. Like, that's what he told Superman. There's literally a story about Superman trying to solve Earth's problems, but even despite having all these powers, all the super speed and strength, he could not solve humanity's problems. He found that the only solution was humanity to solve the problem. It was the only way. So, Jacob or Matt, do you have anything to say? Because I'm running out of things to say here.
I think you explained it really well, Mike. And it's hard for me, like, to explain stuff like that, but then there's people that don't leave anything behind when they die. Either because they didn't care enough to do anything, or they take their life. And that is some of the most terrible thing to do.
Yeah, like, it's like I said, like, in life, like, when people are born, you just get a lot of bad apples, man. And it's kind of like the last podcast when I told you about that guy who's just like so fucking hateful, and he fucking hates everybody. Doesn't matter if he knows you or not. And you know what? He probably had a really bad childhood or something. But you know what? The way I look at it is, if you're going to be so fucking hateful to everyone to the point where it only complicates your life more, then you must just not love life anyway. You know what I mean? Like, man, I just don't understand, like, how people are born and then they grow up into like this heartless, careless individual, like just these evil fucking people. And I just don't get it. Like, I don't understand how it manifests inside of someone to commit horrible things. I don't get it, and I'll never understand it. But and again, like, that is the really complicated part of life, is like, you got some good ones and you got some bad ones. And for me, like, I've seen so many people just like total fucking dick faces who say, like, get into reality, man. This is how life is. And, people just don't fucking give a shit. And, nobody's nice and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, and I've said this before in the podcast, I think, but I'm the kind of person, actually, it was in the first episode. I'm the kind of person that, I want to prove that there's good kindness. I want to prove that there's good people. And look, sometimes I'm an asshole, but everybody's a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Like, anybody could be an asshole. I don't care if you're a total sweetheart. Everybody's going to have a day or a moment where they're a total fucking dick face. That's just fact. But, I try to be this person that's nice. So nice to the point that some people think it's fake. And I can understand that, but it's kind of like, it's proof that you can do it. I mean, and you want to know something funny? When you attempt an act of kindness for a stranger, that can affect their entire fucking day. They could go from having a bad day to you coming up and doing something really nice out of nowhere, whether it's helping them pick up their groceries or something like that, or changing their tire, or whatever the case is, whatever act of kindness it is, that can change their whole fucking day and make it better. Right. And they'll just have a good day after that, no matter what's going on. And that's what I want to do. Right. Like that's one of the reasons that I'm nice, man. And you want to know something else? When you do that through your whole life, you leave an impact of some degree, man. You die knowing that people thought you were a good fucking person. And people will tell stories about you, man. It won't spread through the world, but man, you'll have these family members be like, man, I remember old Jacob, man. Good old Jacob. I have good stories about Jacob, man. You want to hear these stories? I still talk about my grandfather, even though he and I didn't spend a lot of time together. All the stories I've heard, man, it's like I wish I would have gotten to know my grandfather much better. And now I'm telling stories about my grandpa all the time because I think they're cool. And I'm proud to be his grandson. I'm very proud of that. I think it's cool as fuck, man. And then when my dad passes, I'm going to tell stories about him. And when my mom passes, I'm going to tell stories about her, That's also a part of life and death.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Matt,
and
anything?
I just did the brain no work.
The brain no work. The brain no work.
And now, here's something related to life and death. Do you guys believe in purgatory?
So, I've mentioned before I'm not a religious person, but it does not. Oh fuck! I'm going Jeff Goldblum up in here. It does not mean that I do not believe in the afterlife, in the supernatural. I have a different view on it, and I think it's something that we will never understand. I think it's far beyond our comprehension. But I've experienced the supernatural. I've told you guys about my ghost story. I believe in spirits. I believe in ghosts, and I do believe that there is something after death. I just think it's up to people who die to experience it, and and I do believe in a purgatory because in true hauntings, there are people who are stuck. They don't know how to find a doorway of sorts. And so there are special people who help guide them through, whether it's the Bible or whatever other methods there are, and so, yes, I do believe in a purgatory, and I do believe in the supernatural of sorts. And I believe we all have a spirit. I truly do believe that. But it's weird because I just think it comes from something else that we just cannot comprehend. There's just no way we're going to know, So,
yeah,
Matt, do you believe there's a purgatory or afterlife? Do you believe we have a soul and a spirit of sorts?
First off, I've been married. I don't have a soul. Just like a ginger. I don't have one of those. Second off, the concept of purgatory is terrifying, whether it's the religious concept of it or someone else's.
Yeah.
Because if I remember correctly, I grew up in a Catholic family. Purgatory to them is literally just blank. Nothing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You sit there, you repent until like, hey, you go down and boil in some pits, or you go up and go blow some hooker on a corner.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah.
I didn't expect that.
I would say purgatory sounds better than hell, though.
I don't know, man. It depends on if hell is what everyone thinks it is.
Yeah,
or something
that's
else.
the other thing. Okay, so man, this is getting crazy.
This is where it's going to get nuts.
Let's talk about heaven and hell because this is the thing that everyone talks about when it comes to death, right? The actions you commit in life, they affect they basically affect where you're going to go afterwards, whether it's purgatory, heaven, or hell. So, what are your guys' thoughts overall about heaven and hell?
Well, first off, we shouldn't be talking about heaven. We're all going to hell. Just saying. We're already destined.
I mean, I'll tell you guys my honest thoughts about it. I'll tell you guys my honest thoughts about it. But I know people won't be happy about it.
Do it.
Here's what I believe, and oh boy, I'm going to piss off a lot of religious people out there. I don't think there's a heaven and hell. Okay. So here's my thing. I believe the whole supernatural thing, I think it's something else. And again, this is going to sound really weird, but hear me out. I think it has to do with like, oh God, here we go. I think it has to do with aliens. I really do. And, we came from somewhere, right? Yeah, you can say that we were these little tiny organisms that started like from the size of a cell or something, and we just evolved, in which, that's probably true. We probably evolved into what we are today, but something had to have created it, right? Something had to have, modified us to a point and where, we are as intelligent as we are, and think of this. How long did it take us to get this advanced? Because there was a longer time and we were primitive, and not nearly as advanced. And already in like the last, 200 years, we've advanced to a point where we have this ridiculous technology. Think back in the 90s. It's nothing like now. Not even fucking close. We are advancing so quick, but how? You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of weird. I do think it has something to do with however these beings of sorts created the energies inside of us to create a soul, and then of course whenever we mate, those energies will manifest into another soul of sorts, and it'll develop its own personality and its whole moral code and system. There's one person I recommend watching. Very controversial, but I think a very intelligent person. George Carlin, stand-up comedian. But the thing he talks about a lot is religion. And this guy does his research, and this guy's all about like common sense, telling you if you're a fucking dumbass. And look, he can be offensive to a lot of people, but sometimes the truth is offensive. Am I wrong? Sometimes people just don't want to hear the truth, the possibility of truth. And, now, if you were to tell me that our soul had moved somewhere, and there was a decision, on basically how your soul would be, what's the word I'm looking for? Taken care of, whether it's analyzing, all the things that you've done, and so basically your soul will be tortured, and so it will act as a hell, or it's like, okay, this soul did okay, and so we will put it at peace, and we'll put it through this kind of thing. And yeah, so I know it's really fucking weird what I've come up with. I'm not saying that's true, but that's just kind of my theory about it. And I want to know what you guys think, because I'm not going to say that you're wrong if you think there's a heaven and hell. I'm not going to disagree with you. There's nothing wrong with believing that. Believe me, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So, yeah.
Aliens.
Yeah, I know.
Aliens.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I do believe that. Because they're
you know what?
Because our souls are made of like a unique energy signature. I mean, how else do you explain that? I mean, why would your soul be made of energy? A unique energy.
First off, do souls even exist?
Yes, I do believe. I do believe in the supernatural and spirits, and And all these people that do these paranormal investigations, they read their souls as an energy like, and they're cold, and all these weird ass properties. Why these particular odd like properties? And all of them are the same. Why is that? That's very strange. But then you gotta wonder, why are there dark like evil soul like entities, kind of like the one I experienced? That's that, and like that shadow creature I told you about. There's just something that we do not understand. There's something beyond, the physical life after death that we cannot comprehend. I just don't think we will never understand unless we die and see for ourselves. That's how I feel.
You pay me $2,000, I can arrange this experience.
Yeah. And look, I've experienced ghosts, and I've experienced the evils of the supernatural. I have. And after kind of thinking, it's like this is it's really weird, and it kind of goes against every like human's logic. And because a lot of people, when they're born, it's kind of instilled into their brain like heaven, hell, God, Jesus, all this stuff, which that's what makes sense to them. But when you kind of think outside of the box and are like, okay, what if it's not this, and it's kind of like it's something else, and we just don't understand? Because you got to think too that the Bible was written by people, right? It was written by a particular number of people all alone, so no witnesses, and it was basically created as, I don't want to say control. I think that's kind of a harsh way of saying it. It's kind of like we need to create something for people to look up to, and to fulfill and live their life to the best, follow these guides and rules to be a good neighbor, a good person, do the right thing, and live this way, eat this way, right? And the only thing I could think of that would create that kind of thing are people, okay, who have good common sense, really good common sense. That's what I feel. And because back then we used to probably be really barbaric, like way back. We used to probably be this barbaric like race,
killing everything in sight.
Yep, with just no rules, no moral system, all instinct. And then you had these more intellectual people get together. And it's kind of like this is how we're going to slowly fix the problem. And that's kind of how I think of it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, like, I'm not against the Bible at all, because there's a lot of good people because of the Bible, and that live by these standards and rules and guidelines. And again, nothing wrong with it. And I think the whole idea of hell, hell for me is used as a way to scare people into doing the good thing, and because I don't care who you are, every person has something deep in their mind that pops up, and it's a bad thing. It's just in human nature. It's going to pop in your head, and it's like, that's bad. And it's a good thing that people can't read minds, because then everyone would go fucking insane. So, because everybody's got this inner darkness, inner beast that, everybody kind of keeps in, and we basically put it in the back, and the best of ourselves come forward. And when it comes to the Bible, the word hell and all that stuff, that is to say, no, you need not do that, because if you do these things, this is what's going to happen to you. And so that instills a fear. Think of it like a parent who has good disobedience, right? And a parent who installs a good kind of fear, not like a tremble in my fucking pants fear and shit myself and piss myself at the same time kind of fear. It's the kind of fear, and we're basically, you have that dad that comes home. He's a good dad, like my grandpa, a good dad who comes home, provides for the family, but all the kids are front and center, and they fucking listen, because if they don't, it's a fucking ass whipping, right? Because daddy is really scary. whenever he gives an ass whipping or anything like that. You know what I mean? That's what I think hell in the Bible is like, the way it's written. It's that same kind of fear, but I think it's amplified and tripled. And so that way people are good through their entire life and have something to look forward to after death. And they'll die in peace knowing and that they just might go to a better place. And so what do you guys have to say?
You made me thinking about my brain hurting. Well, I agree with some of the things you said.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there is beings out there that did create what we are today. I always think there was probably something that walked this place before animals and we did, you know?
Mm-hmm. Like dinosaurs.
And yeah, like dinosaurs, yes. But also supernatural scientific beings that are much smarter than us or powerful than we can comprehend.
I want you guys to also
Something
think
like
of
that.
this, and I'm dead serious. Why would a being, if God, okay, and I'm not trying to get super controversial, I'm just making a point. Why would a being only focus on Earth? You got to think of this humongous, near pretty much limitless space of trillions and infinite amounts of planets and stars, right? Like,
Galaxies.
what's the whole purpose of space if only Earth is concentrated? Why is there UFOs? Because nowadays you'll see a lot on the news anymore. There's a lot more information finally coming out, a lot of truths that were kept secret for a long time. Why is it that, we could possibly run into a planet with different life? Where does that come from? Right. And it's interesting. And who's to say that the supernatural and everything only operates on Earth? Who's to say that some kind of evil, demonic, quote unquote, entity like spirit is to not be on some other planet that came from a different race of species? Who's to say that aliens don't have souls? Right? It's kind of like when you open your mind that much, because there's no way that it's just everything on Earth that has a soul. Like, all life must have a soul. It's weird. And that's why I say, like, my theory on like the whole aliens making us thing with the souls, like, that's just a theory, and it's most likely not true because they must have them too, And so it's kind of like, that's why I believe it's something that we will never know and understand unless we just die and find out for ourselves. I just think it's beyond our comprehension, man. And because the Bible only limits it to just on Earth. Really think about that. The Bible's only written just as a guide of rules on Earth. It doesn't, as far as I know, it doesn't talk about the expanding universe and stuff. And it kind of boggles your mind when you think about other life forms possibly on another planet, probably an intellectual race that probably has their own set of rules, with their own book, and with their own kind of God or something, right? I mean, who's to say? It's weird, isn't it? Like really think about that. It's kind of fucked up, I know, especially for a person to be saying that, but you got to really open your mind, because there is no way that we are the only living things in this infinite space. There is no way. There's just no way. Isn't that, like, man, it's just, yeah. I know it's controversial, man, but I'm a controversial person in nature, and I like to make people think, And it's not a negative kind of controversial. I just want to open people's minds to stuff, and make themselves ask questions, based on like common sense. So what were you going to say, Matt? I'm curious.
I was going to say something.
Oh, I thought you was. I heard you for like 1 second. And Jacob, what do you have to say, my man? I know you were already talking and I kind of jumped in the middle, but
Well, I forgot what I was going to say.
I'm sorry.
Oh, beings that walked before us.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, before the dinosaurs, before the supposed ice age, the planet was just rock. Then what you said about these beings that can, gave us soul, it gave life to Earth itself. And they started it out with dinosaurs. Then it was like, oh no, fuck that, fuck dinosaurs. We're gonna freeze them now.
Yep.
Oh. Then here comes, cavemen's, oh, mirror.
But when the Earth started, man, it was just a giant thing of like fucking molten lava. Just a giant ball of fucking fire is what it was. And then at one point it freezed. And, like, man, you got to think like the fact that there was something going on before us, like, man, there's a lot of shit that we just don't know. And there's a lot of shit beyond our comprehension, man. I'm very open-minded. That's just how I am as a person, through my experiences in life, a lot of the things that I've questioned in my life, and just me kind of sitting there thinking about stuff. Especially after witnessing those two UFOs in person, in which, you can say I supposedly did, or you can question it if you want to. That's fine. You have your own opinions, but I know what I saw. And my dad will even tell you that he saw it too. He was up all night trying to, convince himself that he saw a UFO. And it was massive and it was unbelievable. And when you see something like that, it makes you think, man. It makes you, question a lot of things. And that's what I did. I began to question even more because, I had a supernatural experience. Okay. I experienced hauntings. I experienced an evil presence. And then I experienced a UFO. What's the connections? Because, because something can't be too one-sided and believable, right? Like everything's got to be believable and connected to some degree. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it makes you think, man, after you like experience it for yourself. It's like, okay, well, if there's aliens, then do aliens go to heaven and hell? And it's kind of like it can't just be humanity. It can't just be the animals on Earth. And, there's an infinite universe. And who's to say what's out there? And it's just, it boggles the brain, man. And it's fucking nuts. Like, I know I'm kind of a broken record, but it is so interesting, especially when you think about life before us. Like, man, I love dinosaurs and stuff. Like, I find them so fascinating. I find all the life, prior to this age of humanity to be so unique and interesting. Just like, just to think that there was life before us, and kind of questioning what all these things looked like and stuff. And the fact that these remains, they went from bone, and then transferring into the material that like surrounded them and keeping the mold. And then it's like, man, that's cool shit. And that, we can look back in time at all this cool shit, like fucking hundreds of millions of years old. And you can look at it and be like, man, that was like 500 million years ago or 60 million years ago. Like that's fucking mind-boggling. It's like I said in the prehistoric episode, we cannot comprehend that. we can't comprehend how long ago that was. It's stupid. You know, like 100 years is long to us, but that's nothing earthwise. Like, dude, that's like probably like a fucking minute to the earth, you know? So, now, there's something else I would actually like to talk to you guys about, and it does have to do with life and death, and I'm really interested to see what you think. What do you guys think of the whole thing where humanity is dooming the earth and we're killing the earth? What do you guys think of that? I want to know your thoughts.
I feel like humanity isn't destroying the earth as people are saying, because humanity has brought a lot of stuff and actually made life better for a lot of things. You know, I'm thinking the world is dooming itself in some way. Like, sure, some people in the world isn't helping the process. You know what I'm saying?
No. Do you want to know? George Carlin talked about this, and I just thought of this when I was thinking of George Carlin, and I think he said it perfectly. You know, a lot of these purists like to say humanity is killing the earth, when in reality they're kind of in denial. The truth is that we're not killing the earth. We're technically dooming ourselves in the far future. The earth is going to be fine. And again, this is in the words of George Carlin. The earth has been through so much through billions of years. Stuff way worse than this. All this plastic, it's a part of the earth. It came out of the earth. You know, all this stuff that all these people complain about, all the oils and gases, which is bad, but it's not bad for Earth itself. It's bad for us and all the and all the life that lives on the earth. You know what I'm saying? And this is controversial too. Again, I'm a very controversial person in nature, but you know, George Carlin is right. Like I do believe he's right, and I know it's kind of weird that I'm referencing George Carlin, but after watching his stand up, it's kind of like he talks a lot about life and death in a lot of ways, and he kind of looks at things in different perspectives from a common sense standpoint, and that alone, just like talking about dooming the earth and dooming mankind, you know, and that does have to do with life and death, because in our life now, what we do now affects the next generation and then the generation after that. I mean, already politically alone, every generation has affected it, you know, whether it's for better or whether it's for worse. But I'll keep that part to myself if you guys want me to, because I won't get into politics. But yeah, Matt, what do you think? I want to know your thoughts on that.
Are you there?
I think it's so complex that Matt has a really hard time with it, which I understand. I'm having a hard time too. I'm not gonna lie; it's a very
My
deep,
brain
complex.
hurts.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing that I can even manifest any kind of conversation to start. Like it's hard. It's not easy.
Well, we talked a little bit about purgatory. What do you guys think is, like, how do you feel when you die? Do you feel like, you know, you're just laying there, you close your eyes, then there's just nothing?
I
Sometimes I feel like one...
Go ahead, Jacob.
What?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. I don't mean to.
No, you're fine.
You're
I'm
good,
doing
you're
the
good.
same thing.
I was going to say something stupid.
I mean, I'm repeating
your
myself
stupid
too.
thing real quick.
Say, if you're sitting there, laying there, and your eyes suddenly close, I think you feel dead.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, depends on how you die.
Yeah.
I was about to say, if you're hit by a
That's
train,
old.
you're going to feel like you got hit by a fucking train. Granted, it's going to be a split second, but you're going to feel it.
It does make you wonder what happens, like, if you get shot, and do you still feel something after you die? Like, yes, scientifically, the brain is shut off, all the nerves are shut off, so you shouldn't really feel anything. But it's kind of like, yeah, it's so weird, isn't it? Like, what's it? Yeah. Oh man, it's so complex, dude. Like, oh god.
Yeah.
like when it comes to I'm so sorry if I bring this up, but when it comes to like my Arma story, like the whole idea and the whole message that I'm getting to is like there's going to be a moment where Armis is going to look at everyone and say it's going to be okay. I promise, and it's going to be better, and it's okay. It's time. This is it, and this is natural. This is what happens, and it's such a deep thing, and death again. It's like I said earlier. Death can be looked at as a good or bad thing. Oh shit!
Yeah.
Since we're talking about life and death, Jacob, Puss in Boots recently this new movie that just completely blew me away. The whole point of that movie is it focuses on the idea of life and death. And I love the message about Puss in Boots is about value the one life that you have, because someday death is going to come for you. And yeah, it's beautiful. It makes you think. It's amazing. I want to know what you think of it. What do you think of what Puss in Boots did? Because I think it was very impactful on everyone.
Yeah. I feel, it really impacted Puss as a character to, value life.
Yeah.
Puss in Boots as a character, he's an interesting character. He's a warrior cat that's also like an outlaw, hero, all that stuff. But also he's a wild card. Then like seeing this character after so many years, like he still acts the same as he originally is, but now things have to change because he's on his last life and he needs to, slow down and enjoy it.
Yep.
Than be all willy-nilly.
It's very beautiful.
And that's where death comes in.
And I love the idea.
Spoiler alert to anybody.
Yeah. I love the idea that Puss and here's the thing about death that I really liked in this movie is like, yeah, he's the antagonist, but he's not evil. And I love how I would call him the wake-up call. That's what I would call him. The way he approaches Puss is like, he says, I was there to witness all of them. Every frivolous end. I'm not a cat person, but I find the idea of 9 lives to be absolutely absurd, and you didn't value any of them. No, I can't, man. I don't want to
do the voice. Do the voice.
I know. I'm okay. Okay, I'll do it. Where do you want me to start? Because I'll do it.
Do the frivolous end thing.
Okay, I got butterflies because Jacob thinks I do a really good job. So I'll look back on this podcast
You do.
and find out.
Have confidence, man.
Okay. I haven't done the voice in a bit, so okay. Where does it start? Fear. I just love the smell of fear. It's intoxicating. Sorry to crash the party on your past lives, or as I like to call them, deaths. Oh fuck, where else? Oh fuck, I forgot all the lines now. I haven't done it in a bit. So after he says that, he says, I was there to witness all of them.
Oh.
Every frivolous end. But you didn't even notice me because Puss in Boots laughs in the face of death. Right? And then Jacob, you do Puss in Boots.
You're no bounty hunter. You are
Death. And I don't mean that metaphorically or rhetorically or theoretically or poetically or in any kind of fancy way. I'm death. Straight up. And I've come for you, Puss in Boots.
But I'm still alive.
You know, I'm really not much of a cat person, but I find the idea of 9 lives absurd. And you didn't value any of them. And so let me do us both a favor and take this last one. Yeah,
That's
so
cheating.
And so and then you get to the final confrontation, and I love the line where he says, "So, are you going to take the coward's way out? Run away to more lives?" Because the whole thing is like Puss is running from death, right? And I think a lot of people in general are running away from death, and a lot of people don't want to accept that, someday we're going to die. And it's especially hard when we're younger. I think I've said that already, but like Puss in Boots did this amazing thing where, it focused on a lot of fear and anxiety, and it focused on Puss like opening, having his eyes open, a wake-up call again. And I love the moment where like Death tells him to pick up his sword, and Puss is just kind of like, he's terrified, he's crying, and then lives are flashing before his eyes. And then it's so emotional, but he like cries, and then Death is like, "What's wrong? Lives flashing before your eyes?" And then Puss says, "No, just the one now." And I love that acceptance of like, it's, you're right, because he's basically admitting like, you're right, Death, like you're right about everything that you said about me. And I need to value my life. Like I need to take care of my life, and I need to live this one to the fullest. And, it's very beautiful. I mean, fucking kudos to that movie, man. I don't like Shrek, but that movie fucking really caught me off guard. And very good.
Controversial.
Yeah, it's so good, man. It's so good. But what else you got for me, Jacob? What other questions you got for me?
Like, besides like Puss in Boots' death, there's other forms of like death in like people, or like in shows, Like one of my favorite versions of death, or the Grim Reaper, is like Billy and Mandy. He's punching me kidneys, man.
What's weird is we always see a fictional version of death, but then whose life? Is there a life character that represents the opposite of the Grim Reaper? Like, is there? It's interesting to me. Like, I've never seen that before. But I really have nothing else to say about life and death. I think I've said everything that I've wanted to. That was
Matt.
That was a really hard discussion.
Time for you to Matt. It's time for you to squeeze in a nice line before we end.
What?
Squeeze in a line. Say something.
What?
Say something!
Huh?
Okay, you motherfucker. All right. Before we end today's podcast episode, I just want to say, if you ever feel like you don't matter, please call somebody. And, life is always going to be hard. But if you have friends alongside you, you will never feel alone. Is that right, guys?
Yeah, when it comes to like, and I know people like this who have attempted or thought of suicide and stuff. There was one point where I was even, debating on my life at one point, and I'm telling you guys right now, it's not the way to go. There are options out there. You can get help, and you can better yourself. There are people who will change your lives, groups, social groups overall. And I mean, my life is amazing the way it is because of you guys and the dream team, and just like this amazing social life that while not in person, has affected me in a lot of really good ways. YouTube has been extremely life changing, despite me having lesser subs than bigger YouTubers. I love my life. Even the bad that's happened, like, there's good in it that outweighs the bad for me. And if you're in a position right now where you're not loving your life, you can love your life. You just need to make it happen, my man. So.
Mm-hmm. I've thought about it too, surprisingly.
A lot of people have.
Even before I met you guys.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people, and who are going through bullying, and they don't know the meaning of their life, and everything is just pointless to them because everything is bad. Whether it's because they're ugly or, oh shit, we're getting into a whole new topic now involving life and death.
Well, yeah, but this still is related to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well. And yeah, it's deep, but I promise you that if you're in this position and you're a person who doesn't fit in and you feel like your life is meaningless, that's not true. I used to feel like that. Jacob probably used to feel like that. Matt probably used to feel like that. And trust me, guys, there's a lot of people out there. And I like to tell people who feel like that, and that they're the only person on earth who's like this. And you're not. There are tons of people on the planet who feel the same way. And that's where we all come together.
Really worse days.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell them the same thing about love, where it's like, oh, there's no love for me. No one's gonna ever like me, and all this stuff. And it's like, dude, there's more to life. There's more to life. You're making it a luxury on yourself. Quit it. If you are like 18 to 19 years old and you think your life is over, which teenagers get on my nerves because they think their life is fucking over. You have till like you're 70, 80, or 90 years old. You have way more life to live. It's not the end. Trust me. So, yeah. Jacob, you ready to end this, baby?
Yep. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, notification bell. Go check out our other content. I am Jacob, joined always by Matt and Mike, and we've been about everything. Say bye, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.